Hello everyone, this week we have a pretty interesting battle, just to show you what happens if you pressure an opponent and do not deliver the killing blow. Now, this is from one of our open training sessions, and this one was quite interesting. So, here it's gonna be from my perspective, because CA still hasn't added the ability to watch the, private games as from an observer perspective. But regardless, here you see me and Cabarro as Miltiades spears going through the woods, and our strategy is to contest the tower, and us as a team, as the mid team with me and Cabarro, pushing towards mid. And depending on the situation, we will adapt. We see that they have an overwhelming force of slingers. Now, we did know their build earlier, so we kind of expected this to happen. We're, kind of hoping for the best, preparing for the worst sort of thing, because we did not have slingers. What we did have, though, was light artillery. So here you see some slingers taking some very good shots, us trying to position ourselves to take the shot. But we noticed that we are overextending quite a bit, so now that we have lost tower, we are pulling back. The situation in the city is going pretty decent. We managed to win over there, but in the north, we completely lost. But because we have the range advantage, it is not a big deal, because if we can get the numbers advantage, we can force the enemy to attack. In pub games, numbers advantage, while is kind of important, it is basically everything in private games and organized games. The reason for that is the fact that your enemy can camp and wait is a very real possibility. And in fact, they will do that because it's the, most risk-free strategy to win. Now we see the Ambiorix archers shooting from quarter the map. I mean, look at that range. Man, this is insane. Whatever those guys are eating, I want some. But so here we see us running from there because it was under archer control. Both sides have, a disconnected player, so we decided to continue. For some reason, recently we had a lot of disconnections. So now we are repositioning back at the base. We are trying to hide ourselves to hide our movements and then ambush the enemy. The plan here is to pull back, have the enemy pull into it, and have me and Cabarro coming from the side and hitting them. Our enemy is a little too smart, however, and instead chooses to skirmish. So now we're pulling out from the city, leaving it completely open. Our opponent has seen that thanks to their scouting forces. So now you will see me using buildings as cover. Because as you would remember, slingers can only fire directly at a very low angle, meaning any kind of cover will be effective in stopping their fire. That is not the case with Ambiorix though, but because his fires are arcing so high, you are able to dodge them pretty easily. Now we see some cavalry engagement going on over here, a bit of a bait. Now we kind of take the bait in this case, but we managed to turn it into a positive exchange. The numbers are very, very close. So we have effectively pulled out from the city and are now taking a stealthier approach. This is going to be a bit of a long battle, but it will certainly be worth it. It is towards the middle, it becomes a little boring because we end up hiding and allowing our light artillery to do a bit of damage. So now that we have gained the numbers advantage, we are moving forward with our defensive tactic. We pull back and just attempt to scout without taking damage. And so here you see me pulling into the woods as marked by Spanats. That is to prevent the line of sight. And we see the enemy coming from the city and immediately mark it. See, this is another important thing. When you see an enemy, you have to mark it. And the minimap, the map awareness becomes quite important. And I am myself experimenting with the different map settings as we speak. The idea being, usually I play at 50%. but I have noticed that prevents me from seeing the bigger picture, especially in the defensive games like these. Knowing this in advance, I did not zoom in, and I do not zoom in until we go into aggressive. Which is a bit of a spoiler, but, well, you will see. The question is not how it happens, but, well, yeah, the question is how it happens. But it is not like how it ends, but more how we got there. And we see us attacking their scouts, increasing our numbers advantage in the south. And here we see Cabarro supporting that engagement. Because we have Scipio Cavalry. Scipio Cavalry can win a battle, but they're very, very slow at that. So our opponents are now poking for weaknesses within our lines. They know we have the advantage. They know we are camping. As such, they are trying to get any advantage that they can. And had they walked down that path, they would have been shot by my javelins. But they refused to go there, and we know they had more than enough time to reposition. Now the reinforcement for them arrives, but we already have our spearmen over there. So there's no chance they can win with that cavalry. And we see their skirmishers coming in. They had enough time to reposition, and as such we were counting on it. And now Cabarro, knowing that his back is covered, our Miltiades spears charge in and do some very good damage. Let's see, I'm checking the scoreboard to see who is shooting and how much damage is being dealt. Because while I do not care about the score in an organized tournament, looking at how the score changes can help me determine who is doing the damage. And so we see the opponent moving a little bit more towards the city, but we also know they will not put their slingers over there because of the amount of cover we would be able to get. Now we got the signal to get out of cover, and we begin pushing. What we initially thought about doing was to push onto those slingers with their spearmen, because we would be able to win, but it would have been too much of a risk. There was a very real chance that the archers would be able to come in, and we find the archers in those bushes. We keep going forward, and from there we are gonna threaten them a little bit, and we will go into the city where javelins are most effective. Because of the close quarters, their counters will not work very well. Cavalry has to maneuver in tight spaces, slingers cannot shoot, and archers have to arc very high. And if javelins are not countered, they can kill just about anything. And so we see a very nice protective ring going around our javelins right here. Now, it is both the protector's duty to protect, but also javelin's duty to make it easy to protect. As such, you have, as javelins, you've got two important formations, the anti-range and anti-melee formation, which is basically blob and spread. If you're fighting against skirmishers, you spread, and if you're fighting against melee, you blob, which will reduce your area where you can get hit. Now you see me using trilobates because I realized, well, I'm not going to be putting them to much use. And getting, right now, because the numbers are so close, any point of damage counts. Any kill counts. So, because if they gain the advantage, it's almost game over for us. Now you see us shooting right here. Vici is active but a little late and barely managed to dodge. Turn around, do some very good damage. Look at all those men dying right there. Okay, I activated Hurl, and boom, the entire back row dies. This is what I like about javelins. When they shoot, things die. Just straight up die. And now we have Cabarro outmaneuvering the opponent, hitting him from the front. Now, shooting like this would cause way too much friendly fire. Like, even here, under normal circumstances, I would shoot, but I know how important the numbers are, and I simply cannot take that risk. So, what we do is we play it safe, and instead, I just buff my ally. I know we can win. I know this is way for us to lose least amount of men, and that's how we do it. We see their cavalry, but they know, just look at the Miltiades spears, he is always on top of me. Then this is how you protect your skirmishers. Sometimes you have to blob. When you're moving, it's better to blob because your skirmisher is faster and your skirmisher can pull back and you can pull to the front and it's all good. Now we are walking around the Colosseum and we got the order to push. Now you see me, I have zoomed in into my minimap because I know we're going into an aggressive formation. And so we're moving through the streets, trying not to get discovered as much. I mean, they know that we are coming. The question is when, and with what forces too. Because as we speak, they are pushing at the north, and they have the majority of their men over there. Our defensive forces are being outnumbered considerably. Like, this is our largest force right now. Looking at the numbers, we have around 250, which means a quarter of our forces. So let's assume we are all, me and Cabarro at 100%. That will be 1/5 of our forces. So you can imagine about half of our entire numbers are within this attacking force. However, there we had a very advantageous position. And we see the cavalry is maneuvering us, trying to get between the gaps within our defense. So now you will see how it's done. I switched to anti-melee formation, which is how you do it against the cavalry. We kind of have to wait for our third unit to create a protective triangle. So you see it being down from two sides. Just look at all this perfect angling. The cavalry simply has nowhere to come from. Now we are waiting a little bit for our third unit, because if we do push, we will leave ourselves open for the enemy to come in from the back. And enemy could not have circumvented us, because then the Miltiades spears would be on their way and would hit them in the back, and the Vici would have made a quick work of them. So we see a defensible position within their base. We come in. I know there's that corner. Corners are Caesar's friend, because the Vici is able to affect the units right there. Spanas comes in with his dogs and pulls him from another flank. Here we see us doing some pretty good damage over here. Cavalry coming from the back, but I see them first. Cavalry cannot pull away and gets annihilated. And because we have so many men within our base, just look at that damage. So many men within our base, within the enemy base, I apologize. We are able to cap the base even though we are at a very tough situation. So this is why you need to deliver that killing blow really quickly, and speed is what wins in this game. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time.